Most men believe monk mode is simply disappearing. They think it is about locking themselves in a room, deleting social media, and waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. They treat silence as a punishment, a temporary cage built from frustration. They expect 6 months of isolation to magically rewrite their DNA. This is a dangerous illusion. True monk mode is not a hiding place for the weak. It is a forge for the strong. When you vanish from the world, you are not escaping responsibility. You are entering a war zone against your own distractions. The common narrative suggests that absence creates mystery. In reality, absence without purpose creates irrelevance. You cannot simply remove noise and expect signal to appear. You must build the receiver first. Many enter this protocol expecting a vacation from society. They leave broken because they brought their old habits into a new environment. The darkness you seek is not outside you. It is the internal quiet required to hear your own potential screaming for attention. If you treat this as a retreat, you will fail. If you treat it as an invasion of your own limitations, you might survive. The clock starts now. The modern interpretation of monk mode is fueled by online gurus promising rapid transformation. They sell the idea that if you cut off contact for half a year, success is inevitable. This belief stems from a desire for a reset button. Men feel overwhelmed by notifications, obligations, and digital noise. They crave a clean slate. The logic seems sound. Remove the distractions, and focus will naturally return. People see images of solitary figures meditating in caves and assume peace is the primary output. They believe that isolation automatically breeds clarity. It is a romanticized view of discipline. They think the environment does the work for them. If I just lock the door, the work gets done. This perspective ignores the internal chaos that follows you into the room. You cannot outrun your mind by changing your location. The common belief relies on the assumption that external silence equals internal order. It suggests that productivity is a default state waiting to be uncovered by removing obstacles. This is why so many attempt this protocol and quit within weeks. They prepared the room, but they did not prepare the mind. They expected the walls to hold them up, when the strength must come from within. This approach fails because it confuses isolation with discipline. Removing stimuli does not teach you how to generate focus. It merely removes the competition for your attention. When the noise stops, the pain begins. Most men quit because they cannot sit with their own thoughts. They mistake boredom for progress. The belief fails because it lacks a mechanical structure for energy management. You cannot run a high-performance engine on low-grade fuel while demanding silence. The error lies in assuming that time alone creates value. Time is neutral. It amplifies what you already are. If you are undisciplined, 6 months of solitude makes you a hermit, not a master. The protocol fails when there is no metric for growth. Without measurable output, isolation becomes indulgence. You are not hiding to work. You are hiding to avoid the judgment of others while you remain stagnant. The brain seeks stimulation. If you do not provide constructive stimulation, it will create destructive patterns. Anxiety replaces distraction. The common belief ignores the biological cost of deep work. It assumes willpower is infinite. It is not. Without a system to restore cognitive resources, the mind collapses under the weight of its own expectations. Silence without strategy is just emptiness. The true mechanism is not isolation, but deliberate practice. Psychologist Anders Ericsson studied expert performance for decades. He found that mere repetition does not create mastery. Focus must be intentional and strained. The 6-month protocol works only if every hour is accounted for with specific cognitive load. It is not about being alone. It is about engaging in tasks that push your limits continuously. Ericsson documented that top performers spend hours in a state of high friction. They are not relaxing in silence. They are actively struggling against their current capabilities. This is the engine of monk mode. You must structure your days around blocks of intense cognitive resistance. The brain changes through stress and recovery, not just absence of noise. Neuroplasticity requires demand. If you remove distraction but do not add difficulty, you stagnate. The real mechanism is the cycle of exertion and rest. You must treat your focus like a muscle that tears and rebuilds stronger. This requires a schedule that dictates when you push and when you recover. Without this scientific framework, monk mode is just a sabbatical. You are not withdrawing from the world to hide. You are withdrawing to train at an intensity the public eye cannot sustain. That is the difference between a retreat and a regimen. History provides the ultimate proof of this mechanism. In 1665, the Great Plague forced Isaac Newton to isolate at Woolsthorpe Manor. He did not simply wait for the sickness to pass. He entered a period of intense intellectual labor. During these 18 months, he laid the foundations for calculus, optics, and gravity. This was not a vacation. It was a concentrated burst of directed energy. Newton did not succeed because he was alone. He succeeded because he applied relentless scrutiny to specific problems without interruption. The external world vanished, allowing his internal world to expand. He kept detailed journals and followed strict routines. This case study proves that isolation is merely the container. The content must be rigorous work. Many men romanticize Newton's apple. They forget the years of calculation that preceded the insight. The plague provided the opportunity, but his discipline provided the result. You can replicate this environment without a pandemic. You must create the conditions where interruption is impossible. Newton's example shows that breakthroughs are not accidents. They are the inevitable result of sustained, unprotected focus. When you remove the variable of social obligation, you expose the variable of your own effort. That is where the transformation happens. So how do you execute this correctly? First, define a single primary objective. You cannot hunt two rabbits. Choose one skill or business goal for the 6 months. Second, design your environment for friction. Remove access to distractions before you need willpower. Delete the apps. Lock the door. Third, schedule deep work blocks. 4 hours of genuine focus is better than 10 hours of distracted effort. Track your output daily. If you did not produce something tangible, you did not work. Fourth, prioritize physical recovery. Sleep and nutrition are not optional. They are the fuel for cognitive endurance. You cannot drive a car without gas. Fifth, establish a weekly review. Assess what worked and adjust. Do not rely on feelings. Rely on data. Finally, tell no one. Silence protects the process. When you announce your goals, you receive premature praise that kills motivation. Keep your head down. Let the results speak when you emerge. This is not about being mysterious. It is about being effective. The world does not care about your plans. It cares about your production. Build the system. Trust the process. Execute without apology. 6 months is a long time in a world of seconds. It feels like an eternity when you are in the dark. But on the other side of that darkness is a version of you that does not exist yet. He is waiting for you to do the work. He is waiting for you to stop negotiating with your potential. This protocol is not a game. It is a commitment to your own sovereignty. When you emerge, you will not need to tell people who you are. They will see it in your eyes. They will feel it in your presence. The noise of the world will no longer shake you. You will have built an internal fortress. If you are ready to stop dreaming and start building, you belong here. We explore the hard truths that build men who depend on no one. Join us. Subscribe to IronMarrow. Walk the path with us. The door is open, but only for those willing to walk through it alone. Your time starts now.